Martin Sargent's Infected, brought to you by the Olive Garden, home of the never-ending salads.
When we were in Italy, we became obsessed with Italian life. The food, the wine, the hospitality. Yes. Now you can experience the same at the Olive Garden, home of the never-ending salads.
These salads sure are never-ending.
The Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
You know, friends, a lot of times nowadays, when you're swimming in some stump water that's pooled up out where they're building the new highway and get a big old nose full, or let's say you get a little too canned up on beer, slice open your knuckle on the pull tab and finger bang something filthy, catching yourself a nasty bug, the doctor will say to you, "Well, you're lucky, son. Because if you caught yourself this kind of contagion just 3 years ago, we couldn't do a thing for you. Those paramecia would have slithered right through your veins and your heart, and your aorta would have exploded like a pumpkin that some fat kid in a Batman cape dropped an M80 into. But here, take this salve and rub it on your knuckle real good. Get it right under that dead skin flap there. And by this time next Tuesday, it won't be black and putrid smelling anymore." Well, catching that dread disease is kind of like getting your TV show canceled. And that miracle salve is in many ways like this here podcast, but less petroleum-based. See, if my TV show, Unscrewed with Martin Sargent, had been canceled 3 years ago instead of a mere 1 year ago, you might have never heard from Senor Sarge again. But shit, man, the rules, they're changing. All I had to do was give my intern Joey my mom's credit card number and have him log on the internet to buy this $79 microphone and some fancy wires. And looky, here we are.
Infected.
Infected.
Welcome to Infected, the show that's trying to make a little gin money by sitting in its filthy kitchen and talking drunkenly into some shitty microphones with a nerd and a drifter type. I'm Martin Sargent. So before I go off on any of my bullshit tangents, let me go ahead and introduce my on-air pals, my pod posse, if you will. First, we've got the furry little computer enthusiast you grew to adore, and in the case of at least one transsexual fan, masturbate to on Unscrewed, Joey the intern. Guy.
I too used to masturbate to Joey, I just want to say.
that voice there, that's a guy I met at the horse track a few months back. Nowadays we get together a couple times a week to drink Old Granddad down at the Tattletale Room and talk about fish and the government and shit. That, my friends, that's the Gator.
Hi everybody, Gator here. Martin, I'm just glad you let me come on your podcast. I used to be an old ham radio guy. I got my start in ham radio in my basement back in the late 70s, early 80s. And I did that for a long time. I thought I made quite a name for myself before I realized I wasn't really transmitting.
And that's why we brought the Gator on board, because this is my first podcast. I don't have a lot of radio experience. He is an old hand at this kind of thing. So we got the veteran, we got the intern, and you got Martin Sargent, and you got Infected. And you know, Walmart and Dell, some other big companies, they found out that Martin Sargent was doing a podcast, and they were immediately interested in being sponsors. But of course, you know, it's good business. They wanted to know what the podcast was about. And I told them, I says, corporate America, you capitalist stoops, you don't want to know what this motherfucking show is about, because this show is going to take you down, bitches. Free Mumia! Free Mumia Bougeball! And,
Free them all.
I shouldn't have said that, because we lost some pretty decent sponsors, and I want to take this opportunity right now to apologize. I love Chicken Selects.
My cousin Steve ate nothing but chicken selects for a year and a half, as a matter of fact.
That's some dynamite chicken right there.
And you didn't get the bird flu or nothing.
It's all white meat, delicious, tasty.
It is tender chicken.
It's got a nice batter, and it comes with a range of dipping sauces, your choice.
And despite the fact McDonald's isn't, our sponsor, Chicken Selects, Chicken McNuggets have come a long way. They're not even McNuggets anymore.
Don't give me those fucking chicken fries either.
Selects, tender. They're good.
These are the Cadillac of chicken fast food snacks.
Joey ate 1.5 pounds of those today.
They were fantastic.
Anyway, the truth is, what this show really is about, this show is about the only thing that I know anything about anymore. The internet. But We're not talking about the boring, check your email, buy a plane ticket, and
Hells no.
book a room in a Cambodian brothel internet. No. I'm talking about Martin Sargent's internet. Yeah, you know, the darkest crevices where few dare to venture. The places where you're going to find time travelers and snake people and snaggletooth porn stars.
Let me just ask, is a Cambodian brothel not a dark place where few dare to venture? I don't know.
Seems kind of pedestrian to me at this point in my life, to be perfectly honest with you.
I was in one last week. I think it was Cambodia. I don't know. It might have been Laos.
This show is about the people and the things on the internet that make that $30 a month you can't even afford, that you spend on that DSL, worth it, man. But we're doing the show. We're doing the show for Revision 3. Shout out. Let's give a shout out to Revision 3. Say
Revision
thanks.
3 in the house.
What's up, Revision 3? They're kind of a technology channel. So we do want sponsors. You know, I've kind of alienated ourselves with some, but we want some of the tech sponsors, especially the maker of my awesome glitch-free Dell laptop. This thing runs like a top.
Somebody other than the Olive Garden.
So what we're gonna do?
Burning breadsticks. Breadsticks.
We're gonna be techie. We're gonna be techie on the show. That is my broadcast route. So why don't we start out by talking about the top tech news stories of the week, the biggies, the ones that they're all talking about. So let's get right into it with our top tech news story of the night. Bridgeport, Connecticut. A 31-year-old man is facing burglary charges after being caught inside the Bridge Academy Charter School in his underwear. Now, I know what you're thinking. What's
no big
the
deal
big
there.
deal?
Yeah.
Many of you are probably in your underwear right now.
I, in fact, am in my underwear as well.
The Gator is wearing...
And I'm shirtless.
Some tighty whities with some busted... I don't even know how those things are staying up. All the elastic is all like...
They're tied to my ponytail.
Well, okay, so big deal with that part, but let's go on with the story. Police say that they were responding to an alarm at the school at about 8:15 Sunday morning. Again, no big deal. That's prime underwear in time. So they find William Hoskins apparently
I think I know
in the school in his underwear downloading pornography on an office computer.
Again, no big deal.
Again, what's the news here? What else are you supposed to be wearing? Like a turtleneck when you're downloading pornography at the computer?
At the school?
At the
Sunday
school.
morning, 8:15? I know I'm not.
You know that's going on all the time nowadays. Maybe they have those filters and everything. When the kids know how to get by the filters. Apparently William Hoskins can get by the filters, but they're in the office. Anyway.
You can also break and enter.
Okay, so he has a duffel bag and clothing and a wallet containing his ID found on the floor nearby, along with a bucket of urine.
There you go.
Again, no big deal to some of you out there. I know some of you probably got your cock hanging in a big old bucket of urine right now because you don't want to get up and miss any of this riveting podcast.
I myself like to go with the leg bag in that type of situation. But a bucket of urine and a Tice bottle, it'll suffice.
So he's being held in jail because apparently he can't afford the $500 bond.
Free William Hoskins! Free
William! Free Mumia Abu-Jabal! And William Hoskins!
$500 bond for an appearance at Superior Court.
So what we'd like to do right now is take up a collection for William Hoskins, the man in his tidy whities downloading porn in a public school with a bucket full of urine. We've all been there. We've all done it.
Send a bucket.
Let's show a little bit of sympathy for this poor guy and help him out of jail, all right? All right, let's move on to our next story. This one comes from our tech bureau in Africa, the great state of Africa.
Who's our man in Kabbalah right now?
Who we got over there?
I don't know.
Is that Jorge?
I thought we had Jeff. Jeff Smith.
So Jeff reports that in Kabbalah, a town in Sierra Leone, the villagers are in a panic as a mysterious animal that has been rampaging the area for the past month has killed 4 people.
Turns out it was just Joey.
Guys, don't feed me.
Sierra Leone, it's not bad enough that these people, they got no food, they got no medicine, they don't have really bright futures, but they also have some crazy fucking animal ravaging their villages, destroying them all. Jeff states that the animal kills its prey by breaking their neck and ends up eating their entire entrails.
Well,
they're hungry. It's Sierra Leone. Sources also indicate that the animal suddenly appears before its victim and is capable of running faster than humans.
By sources, you mean Jeff.
By Jeff. And also, let me tell you, if running faster than humans in Sierra Leone, those people are motherfucking fast.
You know,
that's a quick animal.
That's a quick. You know who's quick? Joey's quick. It could
Joey
be Joey.
is especially fleet.
I saw Joey chase a squirrel down in your backyard just today and bite its head off, spit it over the fence.
Well, not everyone believes the animal story. In fact, government skeptics point out that a huge pile of shit, supposedly from this animal, that's actually what the news story said. Quote, a huge pile of shit. That's what they say in Sierra Leone in the news. A huge pile of shit supposedly from this animal, which is supposedly a carnivorous animal.
Carnivorous means it eats meat.
It eats meat. Turned out to be shit of an herbivore. So it's quite, it's different than the shit that's usually associated with cows, sheep, and most other bush animals. Despite this reassuring pile of shit, the farmers are still terrified and refusing to work out in the fields.
Well, they're spending all their time in the local school. They're downloading pornography in their underpants. Now,
anyway,
we've digressed.
We've got a couple terribly important tech news stories that we still have to cover. But
did you know Joey can talk to birds? I saw him yesterday in the yard after he bit that squirrel head off. He called down about a flock of, I think, like sparrows. I don't know what they were. But they lit all over him.
Joey.
He was just sitting there with like a Jesus Christ pose with his arms out and these birds.
Don't mock my gifts.
I once saw Joey sitting in a cafe,
Joey, what do the birds say?
Enjoying some sort of a latte, reading some sort of a fantasy or science fiction novel, and his nose like springs up from the book, and he looks up the air, and his index finger just goes up in the air, just like that. And all of a sudden, this dove lights on his finger.
Joey, what do the birds say?
They're quite mean, actually.
Do they make fun of you, Joe?
There's a lot of anger in those birds.
Oh.
Well, we still got a couple of terribly important news stories, as I said before. We're going to have to get to them later because we have a caller on the line who's threatening to kill Joey if we keep him on hold any longer. He's the killing machine behind the website kickasskarate.com. Please welcome my old pal, Ricky Kang. Hey, Ricky.
Martin, what's up, buddy? Quasi-Toto.
Quasi-Toto.
Quasi-Toto, Martin.
Friend. How you been, Ricky?
Well, man, I've been all right, man. You know, I busted my back about a week ago, and I've been in some pain. But I always say pain's life's greatest teacher. You know, my cousin Ricky, my cousin Ricky, too. They call him Ricky, too. He got the same name as me, but he helped me build a back brace out of some PVC piping and some board and shit. And I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right.
How did you break your back?
Well, you know, I fell off a roof, man. I'm a roofer. I don't make all my money when I'm doing my martial arts or teaching people or from my practices or whatever you want to call it. I do roofing on the side is how I did. I fell off a roof, about a 2-story.
Sorry. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. But we're not here to talk about roofing, interesting though that topic may be. We're here to talk about self-defense. And you suggested that because I had recently moved to Los Angeles, you thought that you would give me and our listeners some instruction on how to protect yourself from a carjacking.
Well, I don't really know nothing about that, really. I don't have a car, but I say if I had to tell you, man, I'd say use common sense, man. If you're driving in a car, just don't stop, man. If you see a red light or whatever, just go right through that fucker. You know, you don't want to stop. That's the best way to avoid it, right there. That's what I'm gonna tell you. It don't have nothing to do with martial arts.
Have you ever been in Los Angeles? You ever been in?
Yeah,
there's
I've
a lot
been
of
there,
cars
man.
here. Stopping is a fairly regular activity.
I lived for a week in 1983 on Hollywood Boulevard, man. I was camping out trying to go see a Guns N' Roses show before they were real popular, and I was out there on the street in L.A. I know all about that crap, man. I took a bus into town and all that, and I had a bandana around my leg, and I had my long ass hair flowing, dog. It was some badass times, and I know about that. I know how to do it. But I'll tell you what, man, if somebody try to carjack your ass, you just gotta get your eye on them. You gotta let them know. Maybe even take a preemptive strike. You know, see somebody getting ready to come up to your car or some shit like that, man. You just take a look at them. You roll down with them, and but like flick a pipe at them, can, bottle, throwing star, just fucking whip that shit at them, man. Just don't even let them get a jump on you.
I don't think...
Now you got a stun gun or a gun, or you might get a gun. That's what I'm talking about, get a gun.
During that week that you were here in Los Angeles camping on Hollywood Boulevard, did you happen to wander south of Jefferson, down to South Central?
I don't know nothing about that.
You go down there and start flicking some of your You're stars at people.
I've been central,
They
I've
have
been
guns.
west, I've been south central, I've been all over that crap, man. I live in Florida, man. You talk about carjacking. If I had me a car, these motherfuckers gonna come on, jump you, drag you right out on the highway. They're gonna strip you naked. They're gonna, and man, them motherfuckers just rip you apart, man. But they're just try to butt fuck you. That's the way it is, man. You know what I'm talking about too. That's Florida for you, boy. You find yourself dangling in a swamp, man. You just be floating belly up.
Well, all right, we're running a little short on time.
Martin, man, when you gonna come down here and visit me, man? When we gonna party? Hurricane Wilma come through here, boy. It pour the ass out this place. You just gotta keep it crazy, and man, we're gonna go party. I've been drunk for 2 days. Give me a call, buddy. Quasi Toto.
That's Ricky Kang, founder of Kick-Ass Karate. He's a good friend, and we all should, Joey, Gator. We should all go down and party with that man. He's good people. All right, I guess this is as good a time as any to take a break. So when we come back, we'll tell you why Alex Chu from LiveForeverNow.com, the inventor of the immortality rings and so much more, what he's been up to. And speaking of the Chinese, we'll discuss their new space program. Go fix yourself a fresh lime Ricky. Infected. We'll be right back. Joey! Untangle my microphone wire, you little bitch!
Forever young.
Martin Sargent's Infected, brought to you by the Olive Garden, home of the never-ending salads.
Wow, these salads, they really are never ending. So are the breadsticks.
Hi, brothers. More salads?
I guess so.
The Olive Garden. When you're here, your family.
Infected.
Infected.
Welcome back to Infected. Martin Sargent here, along with Joey and the Gator.
Joey. Hello, all.
So, 3 or 4 of you out there in the listening audience might actually be interested in what Martin Sargent is doing with his life nowadays, besides this podcast. Not a hell of a...
Oh, come on.
I do like to go out to the desert, out to the Badlands from time to time.
Tell them about the birdhouses, Martin.
I make birdhouses that I sell at area craft fairs. I do that. I enjoy that very much.
They're beautiful houses.
They're nice.
I've got 4.
Thanks.
I gave one to my niece.
You're my best customer, Gator. I also have a vegetable patch that I tend to, and I check my email sometimes. And I'm also doing a pilot for the Comedy Central television station.
Hooray!
Yeah, it's great. And we're actually, and these guys are helping me out with it. We're doing a show for Comedy Central. Well, it's a pilot. We don't know if they're going to pick it up or not.
They love the Gator over there at Comedy Central. I'm
really,
a big hit.
I gotta say, I really hope that they do pick it up, because in all honesty, the birdhouses, not even covering my street drug habit.
Or the lawsuit you have out there at that hotel in the desert.
Gator, that's enough.
All right, we'll cut that
I
off.
didn't know them M80s were going to go off. Anyway, last week, me, Joey, and the Gator, we went up to San Francisco to shoot some footage for the pilot, and we stopped by the home of one of maybe my all-time favorite internet character, the fabulous Alex Chu. Now, if you're not familiar with Alex Chu, you owe it to yourself. Right now, you're probably listening to this on a computer, so you can do this while we're talking. You go to alexchu.com. Alex Chu,
he is a beautiful man.
Is perhaps the greatest living American.
He is one of them.
Alex Chu invented immortality. Actually, he calls himself one of the greatest inventors ever lived. He compares himself with Einstein, Tesla, and Edison. But he's not a scientist. He just sort of bumped into this.
I think he's the Messiah.
He may be, although he claims that he's not any longer. But this immortality device, what they are is they're these rings that you wear on your ring fingers when you go to bed at night. Mm-hmm. And if you do this every night, you'll never die.
It's magnets, people. It's like the polarity and the magnetism that keeps you young forever. You live forever. Forever young.
Yeah, you got to go on his website. He's got all the different
Alphaville.
theories on his website about how this works. And it does work. I mean, I walked into this as skeptical as you probably are right now, but these things actually work. I mean, I've known Alex for years now. The man has not aged a tick.
Having been in his house, I'm not sure if the rings work. I'm partial to say that they probably do, but having been in his house just last week, I can't say this. Alex Chu's house is filthy.
It's true. He may be the world's greatest inventor, but
he lives in a flop house.
I don't know what year the broom was invented.
Now, Alex isn't Asian. You might have guessed it from his name, but he lives with 14 other Asians in a house in South San Francisco, and it is darn right filthy in there.
It is so filthy.
It is.
I mean, my God.
I itched for a week.
There's a serious flea and tick problem in the place. I mean, he's also working on this machine. He calls it the machine that heals the handicaps. And, he's got this whole plan. He's going to heal Stevie Wonder, anyone who wants it. He's going to make Stevie Wonder see. But clearly what he needs to work on next is the machine that cleans the kitchen.
It cleans the kitchens. When we were up in his room and he took the machines that heals the handicaps and he told you it was very dangerous, it's like 40,000 volts or something. He pulls this thing with like these crappy wires hanging off. He puts it over his temples and plugs it in. All the lights dim. It's like... Martin swears that he could see flea and ticks falling off of Alex Chu dead onto the Garfield sheets, the stained Garfield sheets on his bed. But he's a beautiful man.
He's a beautiful man. And,
he's a hell of a singer.
You think he's crazy,
he sings.
But he's not crazy at all. In fact, he has sold so many of these rings. All day long, you're hanging out with this guy, and here the phone is going off. He's bling, bling, bling. He goes, immortality device. He sells 50 of these rings a day at like $50 a pop. He has sold so many rings that the man actually owns 2 houses in the city of San Francisco.
His phone rings off the hook, and he writes down all the orders on a filthy little crumpled up piece of paper. He takes all the orders. He's like, I'm checking your order. I'll call you back. But he is one of the most honest people that I've ever met, and so I believe him for one that his rings work because you ask Alex Chu any kind of question. Yeah, Alex, when's the last time you got laid? 5 years ago.
Who was it?
It was a Korean whore.
Korean whore. She's big. She's like, fucking her pussy was like fucking plastic bag. It was awful.
Alex tells the truth about everything.
He does. So that's why you can believe him when he tells you that he's also invented a UFO.
Exactly.
And he's also working on teleportation and resurrection.
Now, Alex told us, he said, well, Alex, what are you going to invent next? He said, well, my time's almost passed. I'm almost done inventing. He's like, it took me a long time. Yeah, I'm about used up. He's like, Alex, what are you talking about? You're immortal. Well, I've already invented immortality and teleportation. He's like, the next thing I'll probably invent is resurrection, and after that, I'll be done. You're like throwing a pepper grinder that actually works, or like a knife sharpener. Like, you call it a day, Alex.
Anyway, we had a lot of fun up there hanging out with Alex Chu. It was a real treat. And like I say, I hope that I don't know if what we just said tells the story of how much fun we had, but the footage is going to be marvelous, and we sure hope that Comedy Central picks up this show. How could they not? How entertained have you been for the past 4 minutes? All right, let's check in with that tech news ticker again. Very, very interesting story from the Moscow-based MOS news service. Check this out. They claim that blogging was invented by a 19th century Russian prince named Vladimir Odoyevsky. And I apologize to the Odoyevsky family if I'm butchering the young prince's name here. But the prince, he was a musician and a children's writer who also wrote science fiction novels. And in his 1837 novel entitled Year 4388, or no, 4338, thank you.
That's what I'm here for.
He suggested in this
figures,
novel that in the future there would be a kind of connection between houses that would allow people to communicate quickly and easily the way they do now via the internet, right? So he kind of envisioned the internet. But he is actually what he wrote. I'll give you a quote from the book. He says, houses are connected by means of magnetic telegraphs that allow people who are far from each other to communicate. That's the internet right there. But even more interesting, Odoyevsky suggested that every household would publish a kind of daily journal or newsletter and distribute it among selected acquaintances, a habit which Russian bloggers immediately recognized as blogging.
Well, leave it to the Russian bloggers to immediately recognize that as blogging.
Interesting theory, Russian bloggers, but I got to call bullshit on it. It's complete bullshit. In fact, I did a little bit of research into this using the Wayback Machine and found out that, in fact, the first blogger was a 17th century American Puritan named Goodman Phineas Taylor. Amazing what you can find with that Wayback Machine. Have you tried this? It's good stuff. Now, if you don't believe me, I actually found the Wayback Machine.
I've never seen that.
It's on the internet. The Wayback Machine. You can go back in time.
Well, it shows I haven't been on the internet in 7 or 8 years. So what the hell am I?
So if you don't believe me, I found an AIFF file of one of those very blog entries, which we'd like to play for you right now. So here it is, what we believe to be the first blog from plowman and sinner Goodman Phineas Taylor of Haverhill, Massachusetts colony, dated the year of our Lord, 1694.
This morning, whilst ploughing the squash fields, a dark miasma gripped me amidships. What the fur? I fell in the furrows and cried, but the devilish sprite, a.k.a. Satan, would not release me. Well, I deserved this punishment, for I covered the apple dumplings of my neighbor, Abigail Goodpenny, and have touched myself with fury and tumult whilst thinking of her merry breasts, heaving and firm in her bundle frock. Omga! I require to regain my senses and go. I suppose I could go to Deacon Brown and confess. Lol, that sob is drunker than a maltoot in Gandytown. Why, I stand a better chance of teaching a red Indian to sit politely at table than I do of being cleansed of sin by that black slag fucker. Cock and pie, what am I to do? Yoy! I should drown a virgin in the church well, offer her soul to old Scratch. Mayhaps that would square things and win me peace. Aye, BTDT. Sadly, my fate is clear. I am Saul. See you, Goodman Phineas Taylor.
All right, there you have it. What we believe to be the first blog in history.
Hard times back then.
It really was. You know, but the interesting thing is, like, the themes of his blog, same as today, more or less. Lust, hate,
Treachery,
plows,
envy.
Anyway, we got to take a little break so Joey can go wipe himself a little better. Smells like he's got a little dangler down there. In the meantime, here's another word from our sponsor. Stick around.
Martin Sargent's Infected, brought to you by the Olive Garden, home of the never-ending salads.
I don't think I can eat any more salads. Oh, God, here comes that waiter again.
Hey, brothers, I hope you saved room for more salads.
I think maybe we've had enough.
Are you crazy? They're never-ending.
Right. Okay, maybe one more bowl, I guess?
The Olive Garden. When you're here, you're family.
Infected.
Infected.
Hey, welcome back to Infected. Well, we're almost ready to go out drinking for the night, but we've still got time to check the tech news ticker one last time. Well, China, you've probably been hearing about in the news, they've got a new manned space program.
Oh, everybody's heard about this.
But
it's big.
I know. It really has been. No one's been paying attention to hurricanes.
It's almost as big as all
that.
the pythons in the news lately.
Thing about the Chinese, they got no name for their astronauts. I mean, we call them astronauts. They don't have that word over there.
It's a big problem. They call them the taikonauts.
The taikonauts, the China-nauts.
The Yuhang Yuan, the Hang Tian Yuan.
If you do a search on Google for any one of those, taikonaut is actually leading. You get 67,000 results.
Well,
the Yuan Wang knots it's distant with 891. The China knots is way back, like 118.
The Hang Tian Yuan. I mean, that doesn't roll off the tongue.
It doesn't. If you
taikonauts is
I have been following this story quite closely. Mainly interested in the pictures of these Chinese astronauts. Have you seen these pictures?
They don't look.
Guys?
They don't look quite right.
They don't. In fact, they look. I think the right word for them is tard knots. Have you seen these?
Are you saying the Chinese astronauts look retarded?
I'm saying that they're Mongol nuts.
Well, you know what? Actually, I laugh, but I used to live over in China, and I know for a fact it's an ancient culture. It's been around for a long time, and they do things differently. It's hard to impress our ideas on the way the explorers should look on their culture. But in fact, in China, all exploration, in fact, is done by the mentally retarded.
It's a long-standing tradition, from what I understand.
They send them up to space, and they're like up there up in the shuttle. They're like, they got their helmet on, but they're banging themselves with a wooden like kitchen spoon in the head.
It's true. In fact, they actually, I believe, I remember from
look up
history
Taikana.
class that they got this custom from Marco Polo, who came over to visit them. And most people don't know this, but Marco Polo had Down syndrome.
He was severely retarded. Marco Polo. That's why people still play that game in the pool to this day. Marco Polo, Marco Polo,
turd out of water.
That's just plain mean.
It really is. Why don't we move to another country, Japan, who also has a space program over there. Actually, they don't really have a space program, I guess, except for this one guy. I guess they have a little space program, but they got this one guy who made like a shitload of money.
It's a cute little space
in the
program.
internet business. Daisuke Enmoto, 34-year-old former board director of some internet firm over there. He's filthy rich. He wants to be one of these space tourists. He wants to go up into space, like Dennis Tito did. Remember Dennis Tito?
Now that guy was a real asshole. Dennis Tito. He owes me still $43.
But this guy, he's apparently
the view's beautiful up here. I'm Dennis Tito.
Oh, I'm glad that I didn't spend that $20 million on breast cancer research. Fuck nut.
Yeah, like $20 million. That is like I'd spend.
But the
how many
Japanese
hookers
guy,
you can buy with $20 million?
You can buy a brand new urine bucket for $20 million.
Or a leg bag if you want to go high tech.
This Japanese, he's a clown though. He's a joker. I mean, he's not even taking it seriously. He says when he goes up there, he's gonna go in costume. I just am interested in why would anyone pay $20 million to go up in space?
Exactly. What are you, Lance Bass?
I mean, it sucks up there.
It does.
It sucks so bad. They don't even have air.
Like, first of all, I wouldn't pay $10 to go to space. I don't want to go to space. Like,
No
why would
way.
you want to go? I fucking hate. Excuse me. I don't like flying.
Yeah, you gotta shit in a tube, like a vacuum tube. You gotta stick it up your ass and it sucks it out. Which, believe me, I could use right now because I'm so backed up.
Oh,
sorry, I'm being crass.
Joey, how'd you get so crass?
But Joey, what would you dress up as? This guy's dressing up as some anime character. This is gonna be a lot of fun. If you were going up into space, Joe, what would you dress up as?
If I just spent $20 million, I would just just go for it. You know, if you're going to spend that much money, you got to go all out. You got to look the part. That's the important thing. And he's doing that. He's dressing up as...
That wasn't my question, moron. Gator, what would you dress up as?
One or two things. I would dress as either Matthew McConaughey or John Travolta. One of the two. That's it. Take it or leave it.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. And I think on that note, we're going to have to end this inaugural edition of Infected.
Wait, Martin. Before we go...
What's up, Gator?
Could you tell the story?
A story?
Could you tell the story of the little blogger?
Oh, you want to hear that old yarn again?
Martin, tell the story of the little blogger.
All right, I guess we got time for that before we turn in for the night. This is the story of the littlest blogger. Once upon a time, there was a tiny blogger. His name was Nip. Nip was exactly 4 years, 6 months, 5 days, 7 hours, and 42 minutes of age when he first started his blog on LiveJournal. Much too young, you might be thinking.
Too young for Nip.
But you don't know Nip. Even though he had to stand on a swivel chair with his short pink legs stretched to the tippy toes just to reach the keyboard, Nip was a marvelous blogger. He blogged about wonderful things like going to the seashore, celebrating a birthday with grandma, and making fun new friends at school. He didn't blog about all the horrible things that bigger bloggers blog about, like wanting to bring a gun to the office, cutting open the scrotum sack of an ex-boyfriend, or the government. No, sir, not Nip. But then, Nip found out he had cancer. And from then on, his blog was pretty difficult to read.
I love that story.
The end.
Martin, is Nip okay? Nip's gonna be alright.
Nipple pull through.
Let's all sing a song.
Nip, nip, nip.
Nip is the littlest
Blogger. Well, that's it for us. Be sure to check out Sarge World a few times a day. I update it about 8-9 times a day, of course, because I don't have shit to do.
That's sargeworld.com.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. And the Joey, the Gator, and I will see you
At the bar.
Infected does not necessarily reflect the views of the Olive Garden, home of the never-ending salads. When you'll hear your family, infected is just infected. We're the Olive Garden, where you come when you want to be family and have never-ending salads and breadsticks and good things like that, not infected things with bad people. They're bad people and they're infected. Olive Garden, where you'll hear your family. 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 Good night.